want everybody to know. So.
Hey guys, welcome to the Inner Voice with TallyNuNu podcast. That's my girl right there.
Hey girl.
We are dipping our toe in the podcast world, and we wanted to do our first episode. Um, Crystal and I went to high school together, and we recently kind of rebonded, and the conversations that we were having were very thought provoking, and we both decided that it was time for the world to kind of hear some of the ways that we were able to heal from traumas and negative experiences and life just getting you down. So we decided to start our first podcast, and you are here with us, Tally. Say hi, Tally.
Thank you for inviting me on. We talked about a lot of stuff like, self-worth and, how to get through things like being at your lowest and how to get over that milestone of being at your lowest where you feel like you want to give up. So this show is really to, highlight how to get out of some stumps or, realize there's a better way instead of overreacting or, sometimes we don't react when we should react, and then we overreact when we're reacting like, and everybody's like, well, why are you going so crazy? And you're like, what happened was. So we're trying to like, remind people like there's always a better option, because at the moment it doesn't feel like there's a better option, but there's always something else at the end of the tunnel, because sometimes we get so stuck in being in that moment that we can't see past the moment.
And it's always what I've learned through the things that I've experienced, which I'm sure we will dive deep into some of the things that we've both been through, and kind of help people understand where we were at our lowest points and the things that help us progress to where we are now. And we're still being work in progress. But the reason why I was so convinced and easily convinced when Crystal said, let's do a podcast, is because there are so many people right now out there that are hurting. And I speak to a bunch of people because everyone always feels like I'm the therapist and calls me with their issues and their problems. And just being able to walk through things that are difficult while holding your head up high, while maintaining your standards, doing it with ease, the outside world would see you and say, oh, she's handling that well. But tapping into your inner self and using the things that you've been through in the past to kind of help you make those better decisions, tapping into the voice that you hear when you're talking to yourself, that no one else knows how you think or how you feel or what negative thoughts are plaguing you on a day-to-day basis, how you tap into your inner self and use your inner voice to pull yourself out of those dark places. So today, we decided to tackle self-worth. Self-worth. Say it with me, guys. Self-worth. And so we thought it was a good starting point, because if you're not where you are with it's like a ripple effect. Everything that comes from you, everything around you will be off kilter, will be out of whack. You know what I mean? So making sure you have a firm sense of who you are, your purpose, what you're doing is really important, because you need to be in a good space for you to be productive and efficient and healthy. You know what I mean? So let's tap into some self-worth.
So let's talk about what self-worth means, because like some people don't even understand what the concept is of self-worth.
All right. Well, you tell me then. You tell me
So
what you feel self-worth is to you, because everyone has a different idea.
that's true. That is definitely true. I feel like
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I am going to sipping my libation. Sorry.
go ahead, sip away.
We work hard every day, so sometimes we need that.
um,
So what does it mean to you, Crystal?
self-worth, right?
Okay. Oh, we didn't tell. How we forget to tell them that we're going, okay, so to relate to everyone. So we decided to use our nicknames because we want everyone to feel like only your family, can call you by your nickname. Only your close friends can call you by your nickname. So Crystal, her nickname is Tally, and I'm Sanara. My nickname is Nunu, and yeah. So that's how we came up with the whole Tally and Nunu thing, because we wanted you guys to feel like you knew us. So Crystal, aka Tally, what does self-worth mean to you?
Okay, self-worth to me means like valuing yourself, because at the end of the day, like, we as people, right, we put a value on everything else, right? We put a value on our time, we put our value on our work, right? When we're getting paid, we're like, oh, I want that job that's gonna pay me more, right? So that's value. And how do we value ourselves? Like, how we allow ourselves to move in this world? Like, do we just accept any job, or do we actually look for the job that is right for us? How much do we value ourselves as people when we're out here, parenting our children? Do we value who we are as parents? Are we okay with that parent, that we're being to our children? Because some people, they're just going through the motion, but they're not thinking about, like, if I had to see this from the outside perspective, if I was the grandparent, would I be okay with that being my child, doing that to my grandchild? You know what I mean? Like, we're not thinking about it through that lens, but self-worth is really like looking at everything that you're doing as like, wow, I'm I'm doing so much and I deserve this, because we as people, we forget what we deserve. Like we deserve a peace of mind, but we forget we deserve the peace of mind, and we're out here like struggling and like confused about stuff, like we don't deserve that peace of mind. Like, no, you deserve it. Like, you deserve what you are worth. What are you worth? People forget what they are as a person. What do you like? What's your value to the rest of the world? You think that, like at one point, for example, me as a person, I would consider myself, when I would introduce myself, I was my child's mother. I didn't know how to introduce myself as anything else. I had become a mother. That's all I was. Like, that was my whole identity. And I valued my worth based on how good of a mom I was. Like, how did I compare with society or that image on TV that told me, like, this is a great mom. A great mom is supposed to be, a soccer mom. She's supposed to be running around. And when I couldn't meet up to that standard because I'm like, I have work, I'm really tired, I felt like I was missing the mark. And I was like, as a parent, I felt bad. So it's like self-worth is saying like, yo, I value who I am. Yo, sometimes I'm going to be tired. Sometimes I'm not going to have the energy to go on the next thing. That doesn't make me a less of a parent. It doesn't make me less of a person. And it's also distinguishing that, yo, sometimes, yes, you're a mom, but that doesn't stop you from being a person. And we forget, like sometimes we forget our own identity and we make our children our identity. And we can't do that as people, because now we're valuing our children above ourselves. And the reality is, for our children to be happy, we have to be happy as well. So it's like, you cannot devalue yourself in the process of valuing other people around you. Does that make sense?
That was good. For me, um, in order to understand self-worth, because I think I'm a little hood philosopher, so sip this tea and get my philosophy, I feel in order for you to really truly understand what self-worth is, you have to be completely down on yourself, which is such a weird way to kind of think of it, because you can understand on a basic level, oh, self-worth is valuing yourself. Self-worth is, but when you don't have none, when you don't have it, and you realize you don't have it, and you realize how far from it you are, you're like, ooh, that's me. I said to myself said, girl, you better get it together,
What you doing out
And
here?
and huh?
That's what you be thinking in your head. You'd be like, what you doing out here? Like, you supposed to be handling these streets, not letting them run you. But I digress.
Right, the streets, look, the streets is running you. And that's like, figuratively, but really, like, if you don't have a strong grasp on who you are as a person, then you will be easily influenced by external forces, right? So an example that I use is I was in abusive relationship when I was really, really young. I was 18, 19 years old, right? So when you're dealing with people who are abusive, they want to strip you from that, and a lot of times they see goodness and they see that you're a good person, and they know the only way to fully be able to control you, external force, is to have you at your lowest point, so where you don't have any, right? So that they're able to manipulate you. So if okay, if you have poor self-worth, you're easily influenced by those external forces. So at my lowest point, I was easily influenced by external forces because I had lost my identity, who I was as a person. I had lowered the standards I set for myself. um, I was depressed, I was angry, I was bitter, I was hurt. You know what I'm saying? And when you are at that, your lowest point, that's when you see what self-worth is, because you're looking and like, wow, I am not myself. I am so far from myself. I have let the things that I said I would never tolerate, I now tolerate, because you have lost who you are. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a weird thing when you truly understand something, when you realize you don't have it. Like, that's how you know. Like, when you broke, you broke because you don't have no money. You get what I'm saying? You broke because you poor. Like, you gotta transfer your money from your checking to your savings and back to your checking again. And that's literally what it is. When you don't have it, wow, I don't have it, and what can I do to get it? Let's answer that question. If you are at a point at any time where you feel you have no self-worth, when you feel you are depressed, when you feel you have no hope,
I think
what can you do to get yourself back to center, without beating yourself up, doubting yourself, being angry with yourself? Because that's not going to make change. Making change is acknowledging where you are, understanding that you're not perfect, right? And then moving through it. You know what I'm saying? Not sitting there wallowing in the fact that, how did I let myself go? Okay, I've let myself go. Now, what can you do, and what have you done, Crystal, to pull yourself out of your lowest points and when you had no self-worth? Go, girl.
For me, it has been taking accountability. First of all, I had to take accountability. Like, I had to accept that nobody did this but me. Because to me, it was like, if I took control of the situation, now I could blame it on nobody. Now I had to like look inwardly. Now I had to like, be like, all right, where did I mess up? Like, what was, where did I deviate from plan? And then it was like, planning out like, all right, so I deviated from plan, and that wasn't what I wanted to do. That wasn't my real intent. However, how can I fix it now from here on out? What are my best options? And it was like, at one point you just have to, like, for real, like, it sounds crazy because nobody ever wants to hear like give it to God. But yo, at one point I had to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna sit here argue with you. You want it? Go ahead, take it, because you can have it. Because I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you and fight with you for 100 years over the same thing. You want it so bad, go ahead, have it. I'll figure it out some other way. So it was like, taking accountability, responsibility, and also being like, all right, what am I willing to take? What am I not willing to take? What am I willing to fight for still? What am I not willing to fight for? Because what am I really fighting for? Am I fighting for something that is worth the fight? Or am I fighting something that is not worth the fight and I'm selling myself short? Like, have I
pause. So pause. We're gonna call that one reestablishing the standard. That's number one on your list, right? Because you've lost it, right? So accountability would be, well, actually accountability would be the first thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding where you are. Two would be reestablishing those standards. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then it's like, now I made a new standard. Now I've made new goals for myself where I'm like, all right, this is what I know you can do. This stuff, this is mediocre because I know you can do this. Now, what are we aiming for? Because where we get stuck is where we're at. We're always stuck at where we're at. Like I'm at a place where I'm working a 9 to 5, whatever. I'm just making the minimum wage. Like, how am I gonna get out of debt? And we stay stuck in that moment. Like, how am I gonna get out of debt? Instead of saying like, all right, sis, what you eating that you shouldn't be eating? Are you eating out, cuz?
Run that spending report, y'all. If y'all want to see what you're spending your money on, run that spending report. I ran that spending report. I was like, food, 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 food. Oh, heck no.
You'd be like, dang, like, yo, all these fast food restaurants getting all my monies. Like, I could make this because, I mean, like, I grew up, we wasn't bad, but we was not the best, right? And my mom would make our McDonald's. You want McDonald's? Because you remember, like, in the commercial, it'd be like, da 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 da, I'm loving it. And you'd be like, Mom, I want McDonald's. I want McDonald's. And my mom would be like, oh, you want McDonald's? I'm gonna make you McDonald's right now. And she would make me a burger. And I'm like, this isn't like McDonald's. I'm missing the little toy. She'd be like, let me go get you one of your toys from your room. Have a nice day, girl. And I'm like,
so look, we're gonna call that one 2.5. You got McDonald's money. That's number 2. That's number 2.5.
Like, yo, that's the reality. Like, sometimes, like, we get knocked out of, like, I remember, like, I was at a low point in life. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to cook nothing. Like, my feelings hurt. I don't want to cook. But I started looking at my bank account. I'm like, the way my bank account is set up, I don't got money in my savings account. I'm gonna pay for this. You know what I mean?
So you was in there, you got in there.
I was eating it up. Like, I was like, yo, I'm ordering from El Valle over here in New York. El Valle is the stuff. Like, that's like where all the Dominicans eat. You'd be like, El Valle, some rice and beans. That's gonna last me for 3 days. I'm eating great. But when you're looking at that Uber receipt, you're like, damn, like $100. What I ate?
Okay. 2.75 equals Uber be charging way too much money for all of that. You order $20 worth of food and it's 87. No, that ain't right.
Okay, first of all, and let me state this. I don't care what nobody says. You can come at me. I said what I said. But if you out here asking for delivery, yo, pay the motherfucking delivery man a fucking tip, yo. They risking their fucking life to bring you fucking food, yo. That's why they be getting me, because I be like, he's out here risking his life for me during pandemic. Let me give him a tip. But I be seeing other people like $0. Yo, you should not be ordering. I don't care. I don't care if Uber Eats charged you that much. If you that thirsty, you need to go out there and get your own goddamn food. I said
you got traumatized by your mom making McDonald's, and now you going to the deep end. I'm tipping my Uber driver.
I actually like, I've done it. Like, I've actually been a caterer and I've done Uber driving. Like, I've done it.
Yeah, I was a server, so I tip well too, because you like
you know what it is. You know what it is to be on the back end. Yeah, you like. Well, I treated these people nice. They didn't even like give me $1 for my niceness. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have to go out of my way to get you like 3 refills or make sure that you were good. Like, cause you could have gotten Sally over there, and Sally was gonna let you be thirsty all night. But here I was trying to look out for you, and damn, like, that's how you feel about me? Like, low key, you be like, damn, like, that's how you.
Look, that's those extrinsic factors. Like, oh, you put a word for me. Give me some extra though. You put some extra. Okay, so 1 is accountability. 2 is reestablishing your standards. Well, we can say 3 is setting goals, setting new intentions, because usually when you have poor self-worth or you're in a bad situation, right, you have kind of lost sight of goals, your dreams, the things that you want to accomplish and stuff like that, right? And I would say number 4, action.
Yeah,
Number 4 is action. Because I feel like if something's broken, you got to fix it, right? Like that's just the law, right? I mean, you can, but then no one has use for it. And if you stay broken, you're not going to be useful, right? You have to take action and to acknowledge the damage that has been done. And when you say, this is where I'm at, then you say, like, reestablishing your standards. This is where I want to be. Intentions I want. These are the things I want. This is how I want to feel about myself. Then you put forth the action to make yourself whole again. All right. So let's talk about what actions we have done. Okay, so I would say you gave a couple. Let me give some more. I would say checking in with yourself daily. It's okay to feel, right? So we go through so much on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we feel like we can't feel, right? Because like when you grow up in a strong household, like, okay, so my grandma was like, we thought she had no feelings because it was just like, this is this is that, this is that, and there was no in between, right? So we said she don't feel. Like, does she feel? But it's like when you're only taught to do things to get by or do enough to maintain, or you're struggling to maintain, like, who's worried about feelings? Bills have to be paid, kids have to eat, right? So we're raised like that, right? Who cares how you feel? And that's kind of why, like, in the Black and brown communities, I know in the Black community for sure, that mental health is like so far down on the list. You know, it's just now becoming more thing that people talk about, is because we were dealing with so much, right? We're dealing with slavery, we're dealing with Jim Crow, we're dealing with, like, trying to be equal. We're dealing with, trying to be looked at as a human, trying to be looked at as value, right? So who has time to feel? Get out there, do what you're supposed to do, right? So the first thing I would say, the action would be allowing yourself to feel, checking in with yourself every day, saying, this is how I feel. And it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to not feel well. But when you acknowledge that, then you can kind of keep track of, okay, I'm not feeling good today. What can I do? You know what I mean? To pull myself out of this place. What can I do? That's the action part. Checking in with yourself and then doing things, like things that make you feel good. Sometimes people like to go to the beach. Sometimes people like to phone a friend. Sometimes people like to be alone by themselves to think about the things that they're doing or things that they're going through. Sometimes they like to watch a movie. Sometimes they like to cuddle. Whatever it is, right? So you acknowledge how you feel. If you're not feeling good, then you do things that kind of boost your spirits. For me, it was praying, understanding that we blame God too sometimes when we're not, about, oh Lord, why? You know what I mean? And just start putting positive things out there, right? Because we instantly go negative. It's so easy to go negative. Like, even me right now, I have a 17-year-old daughter. I talk to her on the daily basis. I'm like, girl, why when we talk, we be so negative? Like, I say something and you like, it's not like it's gonna work anyway. It's like, why you gotta go there? Can we say, okay, let's work it out. Let's be optimistic. Let's not be so negative, right? So the action would be addressing how you feel. If you're feeling bad, doing things that make you feel better, speaking positive things out there. You know what I mean? Speaking positive things about yourself. You know what I mean? You know, I am smart, I am strong, I am capable. You know what I mean? I can do anything I put my mind to. The things that we learned when we were kids, and they sell you that dream. You can be anything you put in you. Tell that to Navians and them the student loan payments. Tell that to the mortgage company. That's how I'm gonna be anything I want to be when everybody's taking my money, baby.
I'm like, you know what that reminds me of? That
So
reminds me of that
what?
movie, Confessions of a Shopaholic, when she talks about like her credit card debt. She's like, they used to send me love letters, now they send me hate mail. She's talking about credit card companies like telling her that she owed them money. That's my favorite part. I'm like,
Look, everybody gonna sell you a dream. Everybody gonna sell you a dream. Read between the lines. Anybody can sell you the dream. But what we're just talking about, action. It's not what people say, it's what they do and how they treat you. Start doing that too. You'll when you base how you react to people off of their actions instead of their words, then you'll really be in a better place yourself, because anybody can sell you their dream, right? Girl, come on over here. I got this real fine merchandise. Two for the price of one. You know what I mean? And then you go up there and they got, just like Uber, like they got purchasing fees, finding fees. No. What happened to two for the price of one?
right?
You know, so like that too, protect, that's a good one. Protect your peace, right? Because everybody will tap into you, tap in, right? And everyone will want something from you. That goes back to establishing your standards. Also establish your boundaries, because people will take, and you're sitting there trying to hold yourself up because you've given everything you have to other people, because they want to use your heart, or they want to use your phone, or they want to use, you know what I mean, your house. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody want to use something, or use your time with their problems, and you're taking on everybody else's problems, right? So establishing those standards, establishing those boundaries, staying true to who you are. If you feel bad, say, I feel bad. Let me do something that makes me feel better, right? You can
I
say
feel
something.
like it's very important, like establishing boundaries and like, you know, remembering like how you feel, because like a lot of times, right, we try to not concentrate on how we feel, because you're right, we've been like, the black and the brown community has been taught a certain way. Like like for example, when I had my first child, right, I was like, Mom, I think I'm going through postpartum depression. And my mom was like, just dust yourself off, you'll be fine. You know, like, like I'm trying.
Look, you doing it
I'm trying, but it ain't coming off. Like, you know what I mean?
right.
And it took her like going actually through it, and she's like, yo, like depression really sucks. And I'm like, I never wished that on you. I never wanted that for you. You know what I mean? But it's hard, like getting out of that gutter, right? And then it's hard to tell people like, no, I can't take on this responsibility. Like, I know that you're used to me doing this, but this really like affects me in a negative format that I can't. You know what I mean? Like, I physically can't like anymore. Like, I'm getting sick from doing all the things that I've been doing. And it's like establishing that boundary is like, I think that that's honestly like the hardest thing that you have to do, because
Especially when you're an empath, and we both know you want to give. When you're a light, you want to brighten up people's day. You want to give so much. You want them to be happy at the detriment to yourself, because you're strong, right? And you give so much. That is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because that'll mess with you internally too, because then you feel, like you said, neglecting, like, dang, I really got to finish my work, but my sister calling, which that's not true, because I don't want you coming here and knocking me out. Like, you got better hands than me. So I'm just using you as an example. Because she would be at my door like, would you say I'm my hands? Oh, beat you the up, dog.
I'm telling me out.
Yes. But hey, I gotta, and it's funny because now she's doing like, she's at a better point in her own self-worth, and I'm calling, she's like, yo, I gotta handle something for work, I gotta get, oh, well, all right. And you can't get mad, because it's like, oh, keep that same energy. Yes, keep that same energy, because you need to be the best version of yourself too. And if I'm doing something, I'm not taking it personal. We gotta stop doing that too. We can't take stuff personal when people need space, when people need time. It's nothing against you. Sometimes people need time to get themselves together. You know, people are really, really going through things. People really, really have traumas that they're trying to heal. You know what I mean? People really have things that have plagued them their whole life, and they're fighting those demons, not necessarily in a bad way, demon, but we all have those demons and things that, you know what I mean? hemmed us up on the wall, whether physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You know what I mean? Like people have really been hurt out here in these streets by people they love, family, friends, people that they trusted, people that, you know what I mean, they thought would have their back because of the words. You know what I mean? But if you paid attention to them actions, you might have half of those people you wouldn't have even gave the time of day if you really saw them for how they treated you. But it's setting them boundaries that was hard. And I'm still working on that. It's hard. It really is. And then juggling because everybody calling you, I don't know what to do. But that is,
I feel like
that was the hard. You right.
Volumes for you as a person. Like when you're dealing with boundaries and you have everybody calling you, that just proves how valuable you are as a person. Getting back to like,
Tap in.
self-worth, whatever. It's like, yo, when you stop calling people and everybody's calling you, you be like, damn, like I didn't know is this relevant. You know what I mean? Like, so that just reminds you, like, yo, like you had to establish your boundaries for a reason because you were giving way too much. And the fact that when you stop, they're coming back to you. So that just proves that, yo, you're worth more than you give yourself credit for. You know what I mean?
Undiscovered self-worth. Look at that. It's hiding. It's in here, y'all. It's right here. But you notice how you were talking and I said tap in. So every time we're talking in our podcast and somebody's preaching, we want everybody listening to say tap in because you're tapping right inside the inner thoughts and the inner feelings of what everybody else is going to think. That's going to be a good one. So definitely tapping in on that one. So we got actions, we got establishing boundaries, we got reestablishing standards, we got taking time for yourself. Self-care. Now, I just started doing self-care, girl. And let me tell you something, baby. The scrub-a-dub, the rub-a-dub, and the tub-a-dub. Girl, you get your little candle and get your little wine and scrub yourself and take time, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Deep breathe, centering yourself, clearing your mind of all the craziness of the day. Like, I never knew how valuable that was until I started doing it. I'm like, something has to change. I knew something had to change because, like you said, I go through periods where I get in depressive states, you know what I mean? When I'm just feeling like too much is on my shoulders, right? And I said, what can I do? Like, what can I really do to make myself feel better? Taking time for myself. It's like I hit the lottery. Not like lottery, like dream home, but like lottery, like scratch off like a couple dollars. Like, and it's like, wow, yes. Lighting that candle, sitting in them essential oils, thinking and breathing and listening to my music, because I be singing and just letting my bathroom steam up and open up. And sometimes I have my little diffuser going with my little oils. I just be feeling good. And afterwards, it just helps me like sleep better when I do it. It helps me feel better. Like, pamper yourself. Don't wait for people to pamper you. Take care of yourself. What else?
That is true. Like, for me, like, I'll be honest. Like, I had, like, body issues, whatever, why I wasn't comfortable within my own skin. So I started like taking like, a time like where I was taking bubble bath every morning. Every morning I was taking a bubble bath. And I was putting like my essential oils in there. And then I started noticing, yo, my skin is shiny. It's so beautiful. Like, oh, like if
it's packing.
Dang, like I didn't put no lotion on and I'm just shining all over the place. I'm just glowing. Like I felt like Shimmer from like, the Trolls movie, Shimmer. Like I was diamonds. Like I was like, oh, I look good, yo. And you start thinking that, like, you start feeling it from the inside out. Like, you're like, wow, like, yo, I'm exuberating, like, yo, this beauty because you're actually taking care of yourself. You're actually doing for yourself what you haven't done for yourself, what you neglected yourself. So, like, instead of lathering up, you wasn't lathering up and you were letting yourself get a little bit ashy and you start looking, you're like, ooh,
Yes.
yeah, I'm this shiny.
Oh my God, it's so funny. That's true. Were you in my mirror? Because I was real ashy. I needed some shea butter, baby. Oh, I can't hear you, Mama. We can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. So what I've learned with self-care, right, is that once you start like doing all that stuff that you do for everybody else, because we as people, we forget that we do a lot for other people, right? We nurture them, we take care of them, like especially if we had kids, whatever. You have to get them dressed, you have to wash them, you have to do, especially when they're little. So you're doing all this work, but who does that for you? Who's doing that? Like, are you just taking a shower and you're forgetting about, taking care of you, like sitting there in the shower and actually allowing yourself to be human? Because like for me, it was, I couldn't cry in front of my kids because I felt like, I don't want them to see me suffering all the time when I was going through my depression. So how would I get over the crying part was by cutting onions, because I'm like, that's the only time I'm allowed to cry in my house. Now anybody judging me about what I'm doing. So I would cry when I was cutting onions, and that was the most fulfilling moment for me because like I was allowed to, like go through the emotion, because the thing is that when you're raised in a black and a colored person's community, like a Hispanic, a Latino, a black person's like life, whatever, we're always taught to just get over everything, just get over it. You failed, okay, so keep on going, just keep on going. Like it's never like you're allowed to sit in that and accept that you didn't get what you wanted. Okay, so what's the next move? Keep on going.
Sometimes you gotta cry.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta cry. How can you heal through emotions when you don't feel them?
yeah, exactly. When you're not allowed to.
You gotta feel it so you can know what you don't want to feel like again. That's why I said earlier, girl. You have to feel it so that you will know what it feels like. So you know that you don't want to be there again. That's it right there. That's it.
Yep.
Feel it and set yourself up and talk to people if you are feeling like you were at your lowest point, because I hate when people say, well, there's always somebody got it worse. Yeah. But for a person who's going through it, if they feel like it's their worst, you know what I mean? I've had people say to me, well, you don't know what I feel like because you didn't go through as much as I went through. It's like, but sis, like, bruh, like, miss, like, sir, like, I feel like exactly how you feel when you went through that. Like, you can't tell me, like, just because I didn't experience the exact same experiences, the exact same things, that my experience is less valuable or my pain is less painful or my hurt is less hurtful. No, you can tell me, wow, I understand how you feel because when I was at my lowest point, I felt like that. You know what I mean? And just know, and like what when I tell one of my relatives that I talk to all the time when they're down and stuff like that, I say, look at where you were, you know what I mean? Look at where you are now. And it'll kind of give you an idea that you made it through some tough times, right? You kicked that time. Like you uppercutted it, bam, bam, you defeated that. You know what I mean? So give yourself credit for that. You know what I mean? Give yourself credit for the times that you did push through. You know what I mean? And then realize that this time will be like those times once I kick this time's butt, you know? And that's what I do. Like, okay, yeah, I feel bad. But like when I went through this, I came up out of it. When I went through that, I came up out of it. So guess what? I can come about this too. You know what I mean? And giving yourself some real, like, okay, I can do it. You know what I mean? I can do it. Never feel like you can't do it. Because when you're going through that hard time, I feel like it's the end. Like, no, it's a blip. It's literally a blip in time. You don't know, with consistency and doing what you're supposed to do and talking to someone, a therapist is a good. If you don't have people you trust, look, somebody is better than nobody. If you can't trust anybody in your circle, your soul group, your family, your friends, you can trust a non-biased person who's going to give it to you real and say, you have the right to feel that way. How can I help you through this? How can I help you work through that? You know what I mean? So never feel like the big picture of this whole self-worth talk is never feel like it's rock bottom. You know what I mean? Because the sky, as long as the sky is the limit, you have the opportunity to pull yourself from that lowest point. You get what I'm saying? You have the opportunity, you have nowhere to go but up. Give yourself a chance to get up there. You know what I mean? I think that's tapping in. Girl, that's tapping in. Tap in, girl. You better tap in.
Tap in, because that's what we forget. We forget that, you know what I mean? Like, we done conquered a lot of shit. Like, we've gotten over a lot of shit. We've conquered a lot of obstacles. We get so caught up in that moment, like in the moment of all the shit that's happening, that we're like, there's no better light. And then you get out of it and you're like, I mean, that was horrible. I don't want to go back there, but
yeah, but I did it.
I made it out of there. Like, yeah, I barely was breathing, but I got out.
What they say? I'm stronger. I'm wiser. Right.
Much more the next time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've learned the whole lesson where you learn how to get out of that rut. That when you're in another rut, you're like, yo, I made it out of that rut, and that shit was bad. This is not even that bad, because I learned my lesson that I didn't allow myself to get in that bad rut again. So this one is a little bit better. So this one's a little bit easier to manage.
Look, you have self-worth when you start taking your L's, right? You know, everybody say an L is a loss. We look at L's as a loss. I took an L. I took a loss. Start looking at your L's as lessons. That's how you know you have self-worth. Okay, I've learned, and I'm growing, and I'm evolving. You know what I mean? And you're going to be all right. Like, so guys, our first podcast is a little janky because we're starting out, but we really feel like we need to have some good conversations, some strong conversations with our people out there. And I think this was a good start. I so look forward to doing this with you, Tally.
Doing this over and over every week. And if you guys have any questions that you want to like reach out to us and ask us any questions, we're here to like, you know, open the floor and discuss your dilemma and show us, you know, we'll show you our perspective, how we would manage a situation, how we would do it through our point of view, so you guys can understand, you know, there's another option than the options that you think that are available to you.
Yes, so I can't wait till we get like a lot of people listening, and we can do advice and all that good stuff and start really helping people, like the people who just listen in, and then the people who want to be a little bit more interactive and ask for our advice. That's our ultimate goal. But this was our first podcast, and don't forget us. We're the Inner Voice with TallyNuNu. And we hope to help a lot of people heal. That was a good self-worth talk, girl. I feel good. You feel good? I feel good.
For the next week. All right.
Yes, tune in, y'all.
Love y'all.
Love you.